can people change? That is the question that we're asking today. I decided to change up how I make these videos because I just trying new things and see kind of what works for me and what I like. Kind of stop making videos for a sec with my phone. Stop making videos for a little bit for the past couple days because my phone was having some issues. Might get a new phone, which will be new quality, which will be really cool. But anyways, I'll get right into it. So the question is, can people really change? I think the short answer will be yes, but let's talk about it a little bit. The definition of change refers to the act, process, or result of making or becoming different. So is that true for people? Can people actually become different through some process, act? And what does that look like? So can people change? Yes or no. There are certain things you can never change. There are things you can change. There are things in life that you're never going to be able to change. Things that happened in your past, things that define you, things that physical features about yourself, where you grew up, who your parents are, all things that have something to do with you and who you are and how you act and the way you see things cannot be changed. But what can be changed is your mind, actions, and thoughts. You can change the way you think about something, the way you accumulate an idea about something, the way you see people, and the way you act towards them. You can change that. And I think that's more important because you don't let what happened yesterday define what you're going to do today, what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do from a week from now. I think it's hard to not let that, but I think we're called to that. I think it's takes time, it takes effort to do that, but we can do that. And I think people can change because the evidence of people have changed. For years, people have been something and have changed into something else. You know, the first thing I think about is any Christian movement of people that they did something wrong, they were in some sort of bad situation, and they found God in that and changed for the better. And I think that's beautiful within itself. But I think it's evidence that people can change. Now you may ask, like, oh, maybe it's fake, maybe it's just people trying to fit in. Okay, maybe, but I think you're taking away, and honestly, you're coming up with an excuse because you refuse to even believe that people can change in that way. Because yes, I think it's true that some people do things just to fit in. But for all of the people in history who have had some encounter with God, with Christ, to have just done it to fit in, no. Because some people are in some high good position in life of power, money, anything, status, who find Christ and leave that because they find it more important. That's real change for a real person, right? So does God create real change in someone, or is it fake? No. I think God creates you to be this certain person, and you don't change who you are because it would make no sense. Like, oh, well, if God made me this way, why would I have to change? No, it's because God made you a way, but you're acting separately from that, so you got to change to become the man or woman God wants you to be. I think that's hard. Again, and all this takes effort and time, and it's going to cost you something, but it's worth it for what you get out of it. So what is good change or bad change, right? Well, I think it becomes, you can take the two ways. It becomes relative or unrelative. Relative because there would be, your thinking is, if there is no God, then everything's relative, and you can't dictate what is good or bad, because what's good, what you might think is good, I might think is bad. What I think is good, you might think is bad. But no, because that wouldn't make sense, because then if we thought that way, then everything I would do would just be to look out for myself, and my neighbor, all the things he would do would just be to look out for himself. But that's not how the world works. People look out for each other. Yes, there are selfish people who have done some things just looking out for number one, but there are people who look out for each other. And in hindsight, if everything is relative, that it's logically, it's crazy to think about. If everything's relative and nothing matters, then that makes no sense to help someone. But yet we do it anyways because there has to have been some moral laws set. There has to have been some beginning. Everything can't be relative. There has to be a good and an evil. There is a line that's been set by God, and we see that. We see that play out in the world by just observing the world. We see that that is truth, right? And so, you may ask, which God is it? Okay, we can talk about that, but you have to admit that there is a God who started it. There is a God who set the moral laws to begin with. I believe that Jesus Christ, of course. So, anyways, so then moving on about this change is how does one change? And I think change first starts with reflection and looking at the person in the mirror and saying, hey, this is what I am, this is where I want to be. How do I get there? And to get there, you have to deny who you are now. You have to say, hey, I don't want that anymore. I want to work for that. I want to work for something else. So how do you work for something else? You show discipline. You show passion, right? The person who is addicted to drugs and doesn't want to be addicted to drugs anymore, he doesn't just magically wake up one day and be like, all right, I'm done. They have to work for it, go through rehab or whatever, and get off. They have to show dedication to change. You have to be willing to want it. You have to want it. Everything starts with that want. So, if you want to know how to change, you have to know what you want first, right? You're never gonna be able to do something unless you first don't think that you can do it, and you have to want that. So, do you actually change, or does someone actually change, or do they just fake and act like they have changed? I think that's true. Some people, they say that they've changed, but they haven't. I think that's just a sad reality, But there are some people with actions that they have truly changed. Sometimes we'll never know that, because what defines you and what really matters is the stuff that people never see, right? And so that's why you can't be too quick to judge someone, because if they might be calling on Christ and they say that the whole this God thing, but then they go home and want nothing to do with it and just don't care. Or the person who goes out and is like cussing all the time, but he goes home and he's like, Jesus, like, I'm so sorry, like, forgive me, what I'm doing is wrong, like, he's genuine. Yeah, he's failing, but he's genuine about the faith. The other person might look good, but he's not genuine. He doesn't actually want it. And so you can never know that. So you just have faith and make sure that who you are is authentic, and treat everyone else as authentic unless they prove you otherwise. And how do you know that you have truly changed? I think to know that you've truly changed is to look at the mirror again. So you saw yourself where you were at and where you wanted to be. Now you're looking at yourself again. You're like, where I was, where I am now, is there any difference? Do I do anything differently? Do I act differently? Do I love differently? Am I kind differently? Do I treat people differently? Do I think differently? What do I do differently? What is different about me? There's something different about you. People will notice that. People will see that with you. I think that's the beautiful part. People will see a change when you make a change. It might be small, might be big, but someone will notice. So, yes, I think the short answer to that whole thing is that people can change. It is possible. People change all the time, and sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I think it all comes down to change is, do you want it, or you don't work for it? You have to be authentic with yourself. Just those two things, and you can make a change within yourself, hopefully make a change within others too. And always, at the first and foremost, put God first within those changes, and you will see fruit. The fruitfulness of your faith.